Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. This is my monthly visitor meeting. It's my comics that I get once a month. I get my comics from Discount Comic Book Service. I they got like 35 to 50% off on new comics. I just can't afford to get new comics without getting that. So I get it once a month, and I'm usually a little bit late, but I do get new comics. And it's funny because every month I try to challenge myself to get less, not less comics, but less money spent on comics. But let's see how it goes. So I opened it up, took it out of the box, and the only comic I remember getting is Red Coat because it's telling me that. So we'll check it out. But as always, this type of stream is an open invite, meaning you come in and we could talk comics, talk about comics, role playing games, D&D, whatever. And Emily Kruger is here. How you doing, Emily? How you doing? Again, I still believe that there's 17 of you because everywhere Emily is already there. Maybe you're a computer generated person that lives in cyberspace. Isn't that like that's like a 90s version of what cyberspace was. Dale A, how you doing? Ant Flo is here. Yes, Ant Flo is here dropping off my comics. And again, here is a link if anybody wants to pop in and talk comics with me. So, again, these are my new comics. So, I got this Red Coat. This is Geoff Johns. I think I'm missing a few issues. I think I read the first three. And I really like it. The art is awesome. Brian Hitch, Andrew Curry, Brad Anderson, Rob Lays. This is part of the Ghost Machine line. And I'm really liking it. I'm a big fan of Geoff Johns. I don't know what the current trend is. Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? I don't know, but I like his comics. Hey, Zach Tan, there we go. I always get nervous until I get the blessing from Zach Tan. So what else do we got? Magic Order, and this is Mark Miller and Matteo Buffagni. I'm sure I murdered that name. This is the Magic Order number 5. This is Mark Miller said this is his favorite thing that he's ever written. I wouldn't know because I haven't read any of it yet. I have all the Miller stuff, and I haven't read them yet. That's one thing I just got to break down and read them all. I was so nervous when he was on my channel if he was going to ask me, and I had to, I didn't admit that I haven't read his new stuff. Okay, Saga. Saga, I was this close to quitting. Can you see? I was this close to quitting because it just got to be like so self-indulgent, And then they took like a 6-7, I think it was a 9-month hiatus. And when they came back, it was like a 5-year break. And it kind of revitalized the series. I think I'm missing an issue. So I think even though I got since the hiatus, I think I only read 3. Excuse me. And I got to get the missing issue before I could read it. Again, more Mark Miller. Nemesis Rogues Gallery. Oh, I have the hiccups. Excuse me. I just had wonton soup. Do artists actually study decaying hands, or do they just imagine how they look? I don't know. Good question. Was there a decaying hand? Oh, yeah. This is going to be annoying. I have the hiccups. I know a couple of Renaissance artists actually had decaying bodies. What was the one? I was talking to Robert Geronimo, who's an art professor. Robert Geronimo does a wonderful alternate comic, Blood Realm. And he does these little art history videos. I absolutely love these videos, and they don't get enough views. So go check out Robert Geronimo. Excuse me, for his art history videos. The name of his channel is Geronimo Draws. And he was talking about this hiccups. You can laugh at me all you want. But one of the artists got in trouble for digging up bodies, and he was using them as art reference. My wife is laughing at me with the hiccups. Wow, I like this cover. I haven't read any of the Gargoyles Quest because I think I'm missing 2 issues, so I got to get caught up. Oh, jeez, you can laugh at me. Hey, Eric the Guapo, how you doing? I'm trying not to hiccup. What do you do? Like, you hold your breath, and then we have dead air. But I like this cover. Oh, cool, Black Hammer with the Insector, I think he's called. I love this character. Do you ever get jealous? Do you ever get jealous of like I got jealous like of this character. I just love this character. He's an imaginary character, meaning he doesn't exist. So he was made up in a comic book that got canceled or retconned. So he lives in like a world of imaginary characters. Oh God, I sound like a barking dog. And he I just love this character. Like I got jealous in a way that made me want to work harder and make up cool characters. Bet they teased him for not able to get live models. I think if I remember the story right, he got the corpses because he wanted to paint corpses. It was like one of those ghoulish paintings about like the middle plagues and stuff like that. Plagues in the Middle Ages. I'm afraid to take a sip of coffee. If I hiccup, I'll spray all over my comics. Here's the Rook. I know I'm missing issue 3, so I read the first 2. So I got to go and get the... Oh, God. It's killing me. If I knew I was going to have the hiccups, I wouldn't have did this video. Oh, man. Listen to this. Eric the Guapo is doing good. He's eating a nice filet mignon with steamed carrots and ketchup. It's just magnificent. That sounds magnificent. I had a craving for Chinese food. So I ordered... I finally found a Chinese food place around here that I really like, but it's, you know, they don't participate in Grubhub or anything like that. So you got to go there and sit down. Here is Geiger. Ringo Award winner. Yeah, I don't think I'm caught up, but man, this Gary Frank art is just so good. Oh, this is Paul Pelletier art. Okay, Gary Frank did the last couple of issues. Oh, Gary Frank, yeah, he did the cover. Okay, but inside, I guess it's somebody else. So it's going to be a bait and switch. I like this character. Cool design. What is Dale? I missed out on issues in the Ghost Machine books. Now I'm waiting for the trade. Oh, okay. Well, I'm a floppy guy. I like to get the floppy comics. Putting ketchup on stuff is such an American thing to do. I approve. This is I Heart Skull Crusher. I read the first 2 issues and I enjoyed them enough to get the rest. And then I think I missed number 3. So I think I have 4 to 7. So I got to get issue number 3 and then catch up. It's like in the future, and like the only way to survive is to join like a roller derby team. It's everything that I shouldn't like, but yet I do. It's good. Jupiter's Legacy finale. I can't wait to read this. You know, I can't wait. It's like superheroes, Greek mythology. I think I can't wait to read this. I got to. I think the last Millerverse book I read. Geez, I think I'm like. I think the last Millerverse book I read was the first Nemesis, and it disturbed me so much. I didn't. I bought them, but I didn't read them so much because I got tired of that. What if superheroes were bad? The Serpent in the Garden. Ed Gray in the Last Battle for England. This is Ed Gray is Sir Ed Gray. He's like a witch hunter in the service of Queen Victoria. And then we got the Green Man over here. I love anything tangentially Hellboy related. You know, this is set in the Hellboy universe, but Hellboy has nothing to do with it. It's Victorian England time. I just love all this. I just love all this. Curious Objects. Babs. Oh, it's Garth Ennis. There we go. Number 4. So I can't read this. I got to get issue 1. So I think this is like a Red Sonja fantasy thing, but I'm a Garth Ennis fanboy, so I'll get this. I just grabbed this. Ahoy Comics. Here we go. This is me being a hypocrite here, still getting every issue I say is my last issue of Savage Dragon. And then I never quit. I think I'm just as upset I think I'm just as obsessed with getting to 300 as Erik Larson. Erik Larson kind of ruined his career. He did Savage Dragon, and he just is obsessed with I don't know. I'm basing this on just a feeling like he must be like autistic or Asperger's or something. And he's just obsessed with breaking Dave Sims' record for the longest run. Now, I know a few people tried to correct me, but you're wrong. Like when I'm talking a run and when Dave Sim is talking a run and when Erik Larson is talking a run is same creator on a comic. Now, I know Todd McFarlane claimed to have the biggest run on Spawn, the longest run on, but it's not true. It's not true because it's the longest continuing independent comic, but it's not a run because it's been different creative teams. It's, Todd McFarlane didn't last too much. What did Todd McFarlane last? 11 issues or so? Then they had a different artist, and they had a run is the same writer artist. Like Jack Kirby, Stan Lee did 102 consecutive issues of the Fantastic Four, unbroken, uninterrupted. That is a run. John Byrne did I forget how many issues, but he did a run on the Fantastic Four. It was him, and then the run got broken by Jerry Ordway. So John Byrne wrote it, but Jerry Ordway. So the run ended. I forget how many issues, but the longest run in comic book history is Cerebrus, Dave Sim. It was Dave Sim every issue on writing and art for 300 issues. So for Erik Larson, this is 273 issues. Can you see the number? This is 273 consecutive issues of Erik Larson writing it, Erik Larson drawing it. He wants to go to at least 301 and break Dave Sims' record. Great. But it's selling in crowdfunding numbers, so it's selling like 2,000 copies a month. Is it worth destroying your rep? He could be doing something else. But that's what he wants to do. And I guess he doesn't need the money because he's the chief financial officer of Image Comics, but whatever. This is Alan Moore's Light of Thy Countenance. I have no idea what this is, but it's new Alan Moore stuff, and I'm an Alan Moore fanboy. I know right now it's fashionable to hate Alan Moore. Alan Moore makes it easy to hate him, but I still like the guy. I still think he's a good writer. I know the long knives are out for Alan Moore, but whatever. I like the guy. Let me take a sip of coffee. I think my hiccups are gone. That does look like Barbara Gordon. Where? Here? Oh, Babs. I get it. How long did Cerebrus go? 300 issues. 300 issues. Dave Sims, I think he has either Asperger's or autism also. And he took LSD one day and he had a revelation from God, told him to make a 300 issue comic book. So by hook or by crook, he made a 300 issue limited series. So there you go. Now I'm sure the Japanese probably have longer runs, right? So here I got this Atlas comic. This is the kind of thing even when I started this channel, I probably wouldn't have been interested in, but I've been listening to a lot of Chuck Dixon, and Chuck Dixon just talks about the war comics. He says the Atlas war comics are really good. And I've been getting into what's his name? Joe Manley. Joe Manley is Stan Lee's right-hand artist. He was Stan Lee's go-to artist during the whole Atlas. And then he died. I think he was like 32 years old, 33 years old. He was on the Long Island Railroad, which I take every day. And he went between cars to smoke, and he fell off the train and died. Such a freak. And he died. And then Jack Kirby rose to prominence. So in an alternative world, could you imagine if Joe Manley never died, how different the world would be? At least, Marvel movies would be different. Everything would be different. So this is Atlas Comics. For those of you who don't know, Atlas was Marvel Comics before Marvel Comics. So it was Timely Comics, then it was Atlas Comics, then it was Marvel Comics. And this is a collection of Atlas War comics. So here we go. Gene Colan. Let's see. This is Fantagraphics. Fantagraphics makes a lot of these collections. I got the War comics, and then I got number 2 because I really like the character Venus, the goddess of love. It's all collection of Venus comics. So number 2, and then I was like, wait a minute, number 2, I'm missing number 1, the Venus. No, but they're Atlas collection. Atlas collection number 1, War. Atlas collection number 2, Venus. So we got stories include Gene Colan, Bill LaCava, Pete Morrissey, Russ Heath. Oh, it doesn't even mention Joe Manley. Oh, there it goes. Joe Manley, Dave Berg, Alan Bellman, Mike Sikowski, and others. Cool. I'm looking forward to this. I got this stack of comics over here that I got to deal with. Got to reorganize it because I put it in the wrong order. I want to get all of my crowdfunded comics on top of the pile and read them first. So there you go. This is only 17 minutes, and I'm kind of done. As always, I'll stay on as long as the comments keep coming. I got 20 people watching. Anybody want to pop in and talk comics? There's the link. Anybody want to pop in? If not, I'll just wait a couple more seconds to see what you have to say, and we'll call it a night. Tomorrow I have Travis, who has a campaign. I gotta build the streams now at 7:00, and then at 8:30 I have a comic book team up with RJ, myself, and then Paul Thayer of Project Noasis. And Thursday I've been talking back and forth with another person that RJ recommended. He wants help him out, get an eyes on a project, and then so I can't remember his name. And then Friday at 7:00 I'm gonna do crowdfunding 101 fulfillment. Now that I fulfilled it with Ed Lillard, and we've done 3 of those before. I think it's a cool resource to talk about it as I go. So now I can actually talk about fulfillment. And then at 8:30 I will have It's Clobbering Time, Wonder Woman versus Sif, and then I'll be on MSK's channel, I think around 9:30 for just a one-on-one talk on MSK. So, we got a question over here. I have a question. Have you ever thought about creating a wiki for your comic book universe? Good idea. No, I did now. If you go to www.villainsandvigilantesforum.com, which is just a mouthful, and my buddy who does the administration for that just had shoulder surgery. So once he heals up, I'm thinking about getting a new domain name and importing it over and stuff. Just make it heroictales.com or Longbox Comics, maybe Longbox Comics. And it's everything, even it's about my role playing games. So you could get the ideas, but keep in mind things may have changed, But a wiki for my comic book universe. That's interesting. I didn't think of that. I'll pop in, give me a minute to finish eating. Okay. Let me ask you this. Renzo really likes sketching out the characters. Next issue, I have a bunch of superheroes. I mean, we don't really talk about their stories yet, but we talk about I kind of tease the superheroes. And I said, how about you put all of your character sketches in a folder, and then somewhere down the line, I'll do an art of Heroic Tales. Now, when it gets worthwhile, when we could fill up a book, I was thinking of doing this character sketches of my art and Renzo's art, and then a write-up of the history of this character in my role-playing games, and then in the comic books without spoiling the future. Does that sound something people would be interested in? Because this is the kind of stuff you would see. And just look at this sketch. That's the Raven, who's going to debut in Heroic Tales number 3. He's my Batman character. And I went full circle with this character. He was in my role-playing games, he was called the Raven. And his secret identity was Travis Scott. Now there's like a rapper named Travis Scott, so I want to change that. I want to change that. But people were like, "Oh man, there's already a character named Raven. There's already a character named Raven." And I'm like, "Yeah, Raven from the Teen Titans is such a different character." And then Ashley's Argonauts has a character named Raven, and he's like an aviator from the 40s. It's completely different. But I wimped out and I changed his name to the Rook. And then Jeff Johns came out with that comic called the Rook. And then I changed his name to, I'm going to tell you now, because he was the street cleaner. And I made him more violent and more into guns, you know, and he became a totally different character. And I like the street cleaner, you know, but I don't know why. I was talking with Oscar, and Oscar was like, Oscar being my colorist for on Unheroic Tales, the suit story, and he's also the colorist for Mary Sue, and he's also the colorist and artist for Eddie is Doomed. So he was like, just go back to your first instincts. Your first instincts were good. So I went back to the Raven, told Renzo, and Renzo was so happy. So there he is, the Raven. So he's a violent street level vigilante with no powers. You know, he's my Batman. He's going to be the way Batman should be. You know, no armor. He's not even he's not Batman in the fact that he's not a detective. He's a brute. He is a cop in real life. He is a detective in real life, but he's not going to be known for his detective work. He's mostly known for his undercover work. So he goes in kind of like Eel O'Brien. He goes in and ingratiates himself with the villains and the henchmen, and then gets all the information. You know, he kind of like matches Malone. So, oh, that's the Raven. Yep. That's a cool sketch. Yeah, it's glorious. I love it. Animal names are public domain. Yeah, and you know, so there he is. So he's coming back. But the street cleaner, I'm thinking the street cleaner will be like a Punisher. You know, so I will use that character somewhere down the line. But the thing is, I don't have a slot for the street cleaner as of right now because he's going back to the Raven. But I fell in love with the street cleaner too, but it just didn't feel right for the stories I wanted to tell with him. He pretends to be a mook or a henchman. He's an undercover cop. He's an undercover cop who, you know, he finds out like they're doing bad things, and then he calls into his precinct and says, you know, arrest Phil Moskowitz. Phil Moskowitz did this. All the evidence could be over here. And then he goes back to the restaurant where all the mob guys are hanging out. And Phil Moskowitz showed up. He's like, oh man, I just got arrested today, but good thing the lawyers got me out. I passed the linguini. And he's like, I did all that work. And he just gets more and more frustrated. So he just was like, enough's enough. He puts on a costume and then beats the crap out of Phil Moskowitz because justice wasn't served, you know. And then the next day he goes back to the restaurant and all the mob and Phil, they're like, oh man, Phil Moskowitz in the hospital. We don't know if he's ever going to wake up from his coma. And he's like, oh, that's a shame, man. Oh man, he's, you know. So that's what he does. He does. And it's ruining his life. It's destroying he's married. He's never seeing his kids. He's the opposite of the patriarch. So he's a foil to the patriarch. So there we go. Eric, you gonna pop in? Anybody else? Here's the link. So what do you guys think of an art of Heroic Tales? I mean, I know there's only one issue, so you know it's kind of pretentious to even talk about it. But already I got a full folder of all these character sketches. You know, it'll be a shame that nobody ever sees them. So I was thinking of like, you know, between maybe after issue 3, do an art of Heroic Tales, maybe like a short, because you know I don't have to color it, I don't have to get it lettered. You know, it'll be like a you know, DC or Marvel Universe who's who kind of thing. You know, so and then by that point all the art will already be done, so it could be like a short, quick campaign. What do you guys think about that? So anything else? Let me see if there's any more sketches I could show you. Oh, can I show that sketch? Yeah, I'm going to show this sketch. here's a spoiler for a long in the future. Okay, this is Big Iron, the robot sheriff. He's going to be set in the Old West. The robot sheriff. Sorry, can't come on. Got to take care of something for work. My work day never ends. Okay. I may make an open source list of Heroic Tales characters. Oh, cool. If you do that, send me a link. Let me know what you're going. You know. The jacket on the robot is my only thing because it's supposed to be set in the cowboy times, and that jacket is too modern. So the jacket might have. I mean, this might be him if he survives to modern times, but I kind of wanted him with like a poncho or something and a cowboy hat because he's going to be set in the Old West. Big Iron, the robot sheriff. So less said about him, the better, because people will steal it. All right, so I got 27 minutes, so 3 more minutes. I'll end it unless other people pop in. Anybody else? Because then I'll just start spoiling horrific. How are things? Naked robot, my eyes. So all issues of Heroic Tales. If you ordered Heroic Tales, you got it. So everybody who ordered Heroic Tales has received it, except for the people in Canada. I have nothing to do with that. I can't do anything about that. So I got one return. One just said return to sender. And I checked with the person, and the address was fine. It just got returned. I don't know why. That is in the mail. And then I got one error. He ordered a different cover, and I sent him the wrong cover. So I'm pretty proud of myself that I made only one mistake out of the whole fulfillment process. I made 2 mistakes, but one of them was to the colorist. He lives in Buenos Aires, and I said United Kingdom because I sent it right after I sent Mark Miller's copy. I don't think I'm doxing any Mark Miller by saying he lives in the United Kingdom, and the autofill just stayed on United Kingdom, and I didn't change it. So it just arrived in the United Kingdom today. So who knows how long that'll take to come back. Then I got to resend it to Daniel. And that has the copies that I want Daniel to sign, and then mail it to Renzo, and then Renzo will sign it, send it to Oscar, and then Oscar will send it to Bill, and then Bill will send it to Brian, and then Brian will send it to Fabrizio, and Fabrizio will send it to Ron, and then Ron will send it to Mark, to Matt Bauer, and Matt Bauer will send it to me, and then we'll have 2 complete autographed copies for everyone, one for me to keep, and one to I don't know, contest, auction, I don't know. We'll see if it even happens. But that's. I have to check my mail. Haven't gotten the picnic cover yet. Message me with your email. And I'll see if it's been delivered or not. Okay, message me. Make sure. Bauer. I said your name wrong, right? It's Bar, right? And I said Bauer because I was about to say Bua, which is my name, and then I was going to change it to Bar, and that's what came out. Matt, come on in. We're talking comics. Just bouncing ideas back and forth. Do you want to come in? Yeah, Zach 10. If you didn't get your comic yet and you're not in Canada, there might be a problem. Let me know. Okay, just don't message me on Find My Comic because it's weird to reply. Message me. You got my DM. DM me in Twitter. That's the best. Or write me at heroicmails@yahoo.com. Okay, but I want to make sure you get everything. If you paid for it, you should get it. There was one guy who I sent him the file like 3 times, but I think it was going into his spam filter. So that was the other problem I had. He was really cool about it. If you got a mistake, just tell me. I'll fix it. I'll do what I can to make everybody happy. So Matt, come on in, Matt. Come on in. The water's fine. So as I was saying, everybody's got their comic. If you haven't gotten it yet and you don't live in Canada, reach out to me now. Now is the time to say, oh, there's a problem, and I'll fix it. I want everybody to be happy. I want to have a good relationship with the people that back my comics. The reviews have been really good. I've gotten one bad review, and the thing is, I kind of agree with what this person said. The Unheroic Tales shocked her, and it's supposed to be shocking. So I guess I did. She said one thing that really made me happy. I'm talking about Katie did. She did a review, I think, was it this morning or yesterday? I forget. And she said that she goes, it was really easy to follow the story. And that to me, here's my wonton soup. That to me was the most important thing. If you didn't like it, that's a matter of taste. If you didn't understand it, that's a matter of my writing. So she got it, and she explained her issues. She did a. I can't complain. She was fair. She didn't like. She didn't like how shocking the Unheroic Tale story. And if you got my comic, you know what I'm talking about. And it bothered her, and she had it in her head that it was going to be like a G-rated comic. I never said it was going to be a G-rated comic. That's a misunderstanding. And again, that's the way she feels. That's fine. She's not wrong. She's allowed to feel whatever she wants. She was very fair. I got no problems. Going forward, I want, when I say it's blue sky superheroes, it's the superheroes are good. The good, they're not like the patriarch. The main characters are good guys. It's not the boys. But there will be some superheroes who aren't the best. There are going to be bad people. The Suit, Lucius Kane, is a bad person. The story is about he made a decision. He basically sold his soul to the devil, and his whole life he's gonna get it. It's like the One Ring. He succumbed to the power of the Suit. And I think everybody got that, but I think a few people were shocked because I guess they expected me to be a goody and everything. But the bad guys are bad, and I hate politicians. And it's kind of, I'm kind of like talking about like this whole adrenochrome and all of this horrible stuff that's in the politics today. And like, in Heroic Tales, there's going to be bad people. There's going to be deaths. There's going to be a real dark streak through it, but it's not the boys. The bad guys are bad. The good guys are good. And there are a couple of good guys who are going to pretend to be bad guys, but they're bad guys. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be like Omni-Man and the boys and everybody's a piece of shit. You could root for the patriarch, but there are evil, dark things. There will be deaths. I hope some of the deaths shock you, because if they don't shock you, then what good are you? And when people die, they're dead. So it's not that you would know, but it's going to have the same flavor as my role-playing games. In my role-playing games, the first story was very G-rated. Yes. Oh, I would love to end the Canadian postal strike. I would love to. Batman and Superman had unsettling episodes, but that's part of the tapestry. Yes. There's going to be bad things happening to good people. There's going to be, otherwise what's the sense? Why be a superhero? I mean, it's not going to be like Fawcett City and Captain Marvel and Billy Batson. As much as I love those, there's gonna be, and it's funny because people have a weird memory. I guess I could stop the extra camera. People have a weird memory of comic books. Read 80s comics. There was dark stuff happening. Read The Punisher. I remember vividly. I don't remember what issue it was, and I forget if it was War Journal or right, but he's opening up a Connex box, and there's kids being human trafficked. This Punisher was killing horrible, horrible people. And that was all approved by the Comics Code Authority. There was drug uses. There was spousal abuses. Read the Hellfire Club. Go back and read Chris Claremont's X-Men. I was 11 years old reading about the Hellfire Club, which was a sex club. The Black King and the Black Queen were Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein of the comic book world, which is why I get so mad that the new X-Men nowadays are hanging out with the Hellfire Club, going to Hellfire Club galas. That's like going to Epstein Island, all the politicians and musicians and rock stars and everybody just going to Epstein Island, hey, look at us, but they were bad people. They sexually assaulted Jean Grey. Jean Grey took a knife and sexually mutilated a victim. And then they dressed her as a dominatrix. They did a lot of stuff, that was approved by the Comics Code. So, stop the pearl clutching. Oh, I don't need this anymore. All right. So it looks like nobody's popping in. This is driving me crazy that this is not level. It's funny when you become a construction worker, when things aren't level, it drives you nuts. Alpha Red Comics, how you doing? How you doing, Alpha Red? What's up, John? What's the chat? What's up, chat? How's everybody doing? So, it's 37 minutes. I'm done talking. I got nothing else to say. I know I'm up against the professionals, so here's to the professionals. Anything? Anybody? I'll give one last. Oh, I was just in the nick of time. How you doing, Matt?
What's going on, buddy?
How you doing?
Chilling.
Just in the nick of time. So I was just talking about my new comics. I still get new comics, not as much as I used to. Do you get anything new?
I went to the comic book store last week and got Wolverine Revenge from Greg Capullo, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't too psyched on it.
Was it good?
I mean, it's Greg Capullo, but it feels a little phoned in compared to his work on Batman. It's just like Wolverine fighting somebody in the snow. Okay. So it's just like,
so there was no story to speak of. Who wrote it?
Hickman. Jonathan Hickman wrote it.
Jonathan Hickman, I have a love-hate with him. Like, I always feel he's like a bad date. He's sexy. Like, you take this sexy girl onto a date and she's got these tight dress on and she looks amazing and she's wiggling around. And then when you go to kiss her, she slams the door in your face and you go home frustrated. That's Jonathan Hickman never sticks an ending on his stories.
Oh shit!
Like look at Krakoa. He left. Didn't finish his story. I don't know if that's because he got frustrated, or they told him to keep extending it. I don't know. But then Fantastic Four, he just left. The Illuminante that I really liked his, and then he just left. He never finishes anything. The only thing that I remember he finished was the Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And he drags. I'm reading East to West, and it's like he could remove every other issue, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the story is pretty paper thin. I think Greg Capullo was just like, I want to draw Wolverine fighting this guy, and this guy, and that's what it is. So in this episode or issue, he just like shows up, fights Omega Red, wins, and then fights Colossus and wins, and then that starts the next issue. So it's just like
Wolverine beats Colossus.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, at one point, like he cuts Colossus, and like Colossus's guts kind of come out a little bit, but they're like silver. You know what I mean? They're like they're metal.
Because he's solid metal. Okay.
Yeah. So that I was like, oh shit, okay. And then
but why would they leave?
And then Colossus rips off one of Wolverine's arms and is like about to crush him, and Wolverine like stabs him from like through the jaw. Like the old classic through the jaw, up through the head kind of thing.
You could see the knife in his mouth.
Yeah, you couldn't see the mouth, but you could see like his fist underneath his jaw and like the three claws coming out of the top of his head.
So is this an Elseworld? Because he just killed Colossus.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know what it is. Like
That's
there's an EMP and like half the people are dead, and it was caused by I don't know. Oh wait, and Deadpool's in it. Deadpool is in it at the end, and he like just throws Deadpool in a nuclear reactor, just like melts him and burns him up.
See, this is my problem with Marvel and DC. Is just the disregard for continuity. And I don't know about you, but I'm a continuity freak.
I love continuity. That's like part of the responsibility of
Right.
Marvel is like,
and I
people
quit
get all
Marvel and
together.
DC before even the political stories. Before they got, I mean, they always had identity politics, but before it just obsessed. I was just like, I don't like the way they're disregarding continuity, and that's when I stopped.
Yeah, you know, I'm. It's like the thing with politics in comics. It's like they're able to like kind of not make it so on the nose.
Right.
You know, like that was an interesting thing. Like they talked about stuff, but it was like in metaphors, except for like DC, you know, like the black guy would be like, Green Lantern, you're helping the purple people, but you ain't helping the black people.
I hated that. I just if I wrote that comic, or if I was in charge of DC Comics, I would have been like, no, this is how Green Lantern responds. You piece of shit. I saved the world from so many space threats that you don't even know. You're going to sleep tonight because I saved the world. I saved everybody on this planet. Did you hear about like Goku the Space Conqueror? No, because I defeated him before he got to Earth, you piece of shit, you ungrateful bastard. Now go home. Go home.
Yeah.
There's things you don't know about. Why don't you know about them? Because I stopped them. I get so mad when I read that comic, you ungrateful. It's just arguing through ignorance. And
yeah. So I mean, I like it to be a little more subtle. I like the message to be a little bit more subtle. Like I'm okay with mutants being the stand-in for minorities or whatever. You know what I mean?
I don't even like that. I like mutants being the stand-in for the other. Like
I think that's what I mean. I mean the other. You know what I mean? Like it's
minorities, sexuality. But I like the X-Men. I identified with the X-Men because I was an oddball who wasn't into sports and liked playing Dungeons and Dragons. And back in the 80s, you got made fun of that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like the X-Men because they're like me. They don't fit in.
Hey, I heard the beginning of your review. Somebody was reviewing your book. I honestly didn't hear it. I went and got some coffee.
I would say most of the reviews have been pretty good. I can't complain. And Katie did on her channel reviewed people like, Katie didn't talk about your comic. And to be honest, I thought it was going to be worse. So I was like, and to be fair, the things that she said, I kind of agree with. You didn't read the comic yet. I got to send you one.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
I'll send you a PDF. But I'm going to mail you a comic. I was just waiting for fulfillment to be done.
Yeah. Get the book out to the people.
So send me a message with your address, and I'll send you one out right away. But anyway, the story that you didn't work on, it's a. I don't want to spoil it because you didn't read it, but it's pretty shocking to the point I almost killed the story. I was like, oh, people like I was like, I know what the criticism is. They're going to be saying nasty stuff, and I know it's criticism, but
is it all contextual? I mean, is it all like within context? Like it's like, it's a pretty dark scene, but hey, it's the bad guy. Like I want to show like how bad the bad guy is, so that when we see the good guy punch him, we really want him to get punched.
You want to see him get punched, but he gets away with it because it's his origin.
Okay.
And then
we got to see the bad guys do gnarly shit because we're dealing with like morality plays, and you know what I mean, where it's like you need the good guys to be super good and you need the bad guys to be
and that's
bad.
Right. Yes. But she was shocked because she somehow had it in her mind that it was going to be like a G-rated comic. When I said it's all ages, like she didn't like that the three girls that Boss Moxie were dressed like they're dressed in lingerie. It's like, so's Wonder Woman. Did you kids not see Return of the Jedi with Princess Leia? She was dressed in.
Oh my God! What about the White Queen in the fucking Hellfire Club?
But that's where I changed my mind. I was gonna.
What about fucking Storm? Storm was walking around in bikini and thigh boots. It's like, dude, come on.
So I was gonna kill the story, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm hearkening back to the Hellfire Club. Like if you read the Hellfire Club, It was a sex club. It was
Yeah.
the Black King and the Black Queen were Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell Ghislaine, however you say her name.
Yeah, it was some. Yeah.
And they did psychic roofies on Jean Grey, and they passed her around. Read between the lines. Jean Grey was sexually mutilating people. If you remember, she was hunting them with a knife and cutting them up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Scarlet Witch sexually mutilated Wonder Man in a John Byrne comic in West Coast Avengers. And they all dress like Dominate. So
yeah.
To me,
It's
and
been
I don't mean
there. Like it's like there. Yeah.
And these were all approved by the Comics Code Authority. It's like
Mhm.
when you say that thing, okay, you're allowed to be shocked. That's your feelings. That's on you. You know what I mean? Like she said the best compliment was like she was never confused. The comic made sense, and that to me was excellent. I appreciated it.
Good.
But if she
I
didn't
mean, if a normie can pick up a book and be like, I could read this comic book, I mean, you kind of nailed it. Like if some normie middle-aged woman can read it and understand it, then
right.
Anybody.
Right. That's but if she was shocked, that just means, and again, I'm not trying to start a war with anybody. It just means you haven't really been reading comics for because
I think she hasn't. She said that like she's not a comic book reader per se. Like she's like in anime and shit. She's into cartoons and
I think
dogs.
Pretty well. I'm not going to get into that. I don't. You know what I mean? But
oh no, I wasn't going to talk about dog fucking. I was going to talk about demons. Fucking kids.
But I thought she was fair. She actually read it. She understood the comic. A couple of her criticism, like she said, the cards were a little dark. And then she started going off on the cards because she doesn't like Renowned, and Renowned only did the backs of the cards, and he did exactly what I asked him to do. So don't go off on Renowned. It's me. I asked him to do it, but I didn't think the cards were dark. But then a few people said, yeah, they are. So all right, I'll lighten them up next time. I'll live and learn to. But I thought she was fair. It's just that I guess she thought I was a goody, and my comic books were going to be like Star Comics from Marvel, which I don't want to do. I'm a big fan of all ages comics, and I still think this is an all age comic. And keep in mind, read the Dark Phoenix saga. Read the Hellfire Club up to Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix, they were murdering whole planets.
Right. And then read the Punisher. I remember distinctly the Punisher was like kicking open Connex boxes, and there was like emaciated little children inside these boxes. The Punisher went and killed everybody. The bad guy didn't get his justice yet, but this was a flashback to 20 years ago of his origin. And Jeff Anderson asking, wasn't the Comics Code gone by the Dark Phoenix saga? No, the Dark Phoenix saga came out in 1979. The Comics Code Authority, to best of my knowledge, lasted up to like 2005.
Yeah.
So it
once they took it off, dude. Once they took it off, shit went downhill.
I can't crap for saying that, but the best comic books were made under the auspices of the Comic Book Code.
Yeah, it gave them like a framework, and they had to work within the framework, and it made them be more creative in the storytelling.
Right.
I mean, and there's nothing stopping you from reading other comics, but I don't know, man. I just feel like Marvel Comics and DC Comics are like, they're for kids. Sorry.
Right. They're on lunchboxes.
Yeah. So,
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Wolverine, they're all lunchboxes. So I think there should be a guide, a rule.
Yeah. And then I'm also open to like, opening that up. What's up? Opening that up to, Marvel had Epic. Their Epic line, that where stuff started to get a little bit more mature. You had Vertigo,
right?
So it's like they had a place where like the older teenagers, young adults could like move into, And so, so I don't know. I just
DC.
Yeah, I feel like you lost it.
Mark Miller was talking about. He said, you start out with some children's comics, and then as you got older, you graduated to these comics. I'm a big fan of that. I don't want to write children's comics. I want to write all ages comics, but I have like Eddie is Doomed is full on mature, and I'll when that's ready to come out, I'll make sure people understand that it has uncomfortable nudity because that's part of the story. You know what I mean? It's whatever. I'll explain that. And then I have a horror story that's full on adult, you know.
Yeah.
But I will make sure people understand. But
I feel like there's a place for Marvel and DC, and
correct.
and for it to be kid friendly, because you're wanting to open those kids up, but at the same time, like I'm not really that interested in superhero stuff anymore. Like I want to do graphic novels, but I want to do a horror and I want to do a sci-fi. Like I'm just be
Well,
like going into Blockbuster and only seeing superhero movies. You know what I
right.
mean? It's
It was
like at a
funny, I was
certain point
talking
you're
about
like,
that. Can you imagine, like, if comic books were only nurse stories or only war comics? You know what I mean? You know, it's
yeah,
weird.
it's such a weird thing that happened with American comics that like everywhere else on the planet they got to keep doing like, you know, different comics, especially
Well,
in Asia, but then we were all like we basically got like chopped down to just superheroes.
my answer, and I'm probably wrong, is I think it's because they stopped doing war comics because they could do war on TV and in the movies just as good, if not better. You know what I mean? And you know, love stories, stuff like that. Comic books,
Well, do you
superheroes were
think
the
they
last
wanted some
thing.
escapism? Like, oh, like we got war, like there's Vietnam going on.
Well, I'm
There's
saying, like,
always some stuff. So maybe the kids just were like, hey, let's not think about war. Let's think
no,
about
I'm what
Superman.
I think is, you know, movies and TV were not capable of doing good superhero stuff until recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like movies, like if you were into war, you could just watch a movie and, you know, like
They're
the
nailing it.
technology and the special effects, everything were
Mm-hmm.
great. It looked like you were in a war, you know, like, but you could watch a movie that had really good special effects of like laser beams and stuff, like sci-fi comics in America. Really, you get to go see Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
But now they could do superheroes in the movies, and now even superhero comics aren't selling well. That's my theory. I'm sure somebody could tell me I'm wrong, but I want to address Herwenberg over here. Hey, Matt Barr, hey, John, what company did you use to make your cards? I have a company here that will do them, but the quotes keep changing. DM me. I can't think of the person's name, but Brian Bow sent me this woman. I forget the name of the company, but she's absolutely great. She'll, you know, you could send her all the information. She'll format it for you, reasonable, and the cards are reasonable, and it's been the same consistent price, and you'll have them if you email her tonight. Well, maybe not tonight. She's on vacation. She just told me, but if you email her, you'll have the cards at your house in 2 weeks. She's really good. So DM me, otherwise I will forget. Most kids, teenagers don't want to read children's books. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm a big fan of all ages literature, like Charlotte's Web, Harry Potter, Wizard of Oz. I already said Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
I mean, I have kids and all of them were avid readers. I get it all depends, you know, on how old they are and what they're reading. I mean, I have a 5-year-old who's all about Dr. Seuss. I got an older teenager who's like into reading. You know, I don't know.
In the
I
early,
guess it depends. You know, like you have like the Goosebumps. You
yeah,
know,
those
is
are good.
Harry Potter? Would you consider Harry Potter a kid's book, a children's book?
I would consider it all ages.
Yeah,
You know, not a kid's book, but all ages. And you know, like Wizard of Oz. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You know, just like I consider Star Wars an all ages movie. Adults love it, kids loved it. You know, and there was some adult themes. You know, guy got his arm cut off. Then there was a
yeah.
sexy slave. You know, she was even called Slave Leia. You know, and I'm in 8th grade, going, "Oh, I think I'm uncomfortable, you know, watching this." You know, I don't know why, but I want to watch this movie again. You know, we underestimate
Man,
kids. Kids can handle it. You know, what saved the comic? Did The Walking Dead save the industry? Like, was it in danger? But I love The Walking Dead. It was well written. Makes me a Robert Kirkman fan for life.
Walking Dead was that was probably the last book that I was going to the comic book store on the regular basis to pick up, and then I'd get the comic and then I'd head out to my vehicle and then I would open it up in my vehicle and read it.
Yeah,
Like it was like the book that like I did not wait to get home to read.
that's
I
great.
needed
Isn't
to
that
read it
great
right
when you
there.
went to the comic book store and you couldn't wait to read it? You sat in your car. The only
Yeah,
difference between me and you is I had a McDonald's Whopper in my hand.
yeah. I probably had a coffee and a
McDonald's
joint.
Whopper. I can't
Yeah,
even tell that story correctly.
a McDonald's Whopper. I don't know. You know, fuck it.
Yeah.
Being
All
crazy.
ages comics usually mean around 12. Yeah, that's what I say to people or kids at our booth. Usually they say the kids heard swearing before. Yeah. Like,
There's stuff like I think about like younger stuff. I remember there being like Batman animated series comic books that were like on the younger side.
right.
You know, some of the turtle stuff, some of like that. What was it like the Super Carrot Rabbit guy?
Oh, Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew.
Yeah. There you see they used to have like stuff that was kind of geared towards younger kids.
Yeah.
But
like Oscar, my colorist, and he wants to do a full on kids book, you know, and he's got a good idea for a full on kids book, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe
it's such a hard sell, like a children's illustrated book or just like a
kids comic book. But the thing is, like, are kids going to go on the internet and buy it? Like that would be something you'd have to get into a store.
You know, I just want to like make my comics and like make the stories that I want. And I feel like there's stories that I haven't seen yet. So that's why I feel like there's a place for them.
Right.
And if some kid comes up to me and is like, hey, I read my dad's copy of Rock and Roll Ninja. I think it's awesome. Dope, dude. Awesome. It's mature, but that's fucking cool. You know, yeah, I don't know. It's like Michael Bay sitting there and some little kid goes, I thought The Rock was fucking awesome. I thought that movie was dope. And you're like, that movie's R-rated, but thanks a lot, kid. I'm glad you liked it.
I would say Rock and Roll Ninja, I would say it's all ages. Like, unless there's something I'm forgetting, like there was a little bit of suggestiveness, there was violence. We're Americans, we don't care about violence. But
yeah, there's straight up fucking arms and legs and heads flying through the book, and then
your art
there's
style
like some sex.
Your art style is not super realistic. It's got like a cartoony quality, so that goes a long way for but I
it kind of disarms you a little bit. Like you're like, right. Oh, he's drawing cartoony, but then there's a severed head flying through the air with blood and stuff. But I think like the sex scene was like I silhouetted him. You know what I mean? I was like, not to like cop out on drawing it, but I was just like, well, I'm not really into like watching like straight up fucking in movies, So like I'm okay with like, it would they kiss and then it's a silhouette,
Right. I'm curious because you didn't read my comic book yet, so there's one page that in my mind when I wrote the script, I'm like, okay, and then when I saw Ron draw it, I was like, oh God, You know what I mean? So I'm like, is this too far? And I really started to worry. So like I said, when Katie had a problem with it, I can't argue with this. She's not wrong. Even me as the artist, even me as the writer thought, but I think it fits in the context. Like you're not supposed to be rooting for this character. He's a piece of shit. He's at a Rubicon. He could make a choice right then and there and become a hero, and he chose the easy path to power. That's what it's about. And I think if it wasn't, it's not graphic. It's disturbing. There's a difference. There's a disturbing picture in it, and I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want to ruin it for you. But
dude, it feels like how I felt when I watched Penguin. Through most of the Penguin series, you're going, he's kind of an anti-hero almost. You know what I mean? You're like, he's a fucking, murdering, drug dealing fucking gangster, but he kind of appreciates this person and is kind of looking out for, you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, he's not so bad. But then that last episode, he does something that is just so shocking and so just like,
I didn't watch
fuck you, dude. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but he does something that you're just like.
I was afraid that like you're going to get 3
It is so good. It is so good, and at the end, you're going all that like kind of slight goodwill that you had for the Penguin is all gone. I want Batman to show up and punch him in his fucking face. It's just like. And that's exactly what you want. You totally set it up like good. Like Penguin is a fucking bad guy. Like there's no questions about it.
Like he, like he's the bad guy. And when you read, these mafia guys aren't good guys. You know what I mean? So, whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but
I don't want to. It's just like I didn't watch it.
He is something more than a gangster. He is.
The guy at work said he's the most
sociopath, fucking serial killing motherfucker. Like he is just. You're like, God damn. he will be like your best friend and will be buddy buddy with you for like a couple of months. And then as soon as you're like, yeah, man, you and me, we're like family. He fucking kills you, dude. Just like, yeah, no,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't, no fucking this. Nope. You cross a line and you're like, wait a minute, I thought we were buddies. Yeah, but you know, I can't have family, so I gotta choke you out. You're like, what the fuck? Like you're just having dinner with this guy, and now you're choking him because he said y'all were family. Like you're just like, fucking A, dude.
I
This
get
guy.
afraid.
It's so awesome.
Because I'm always afraid I'm going to be like 3 episodes in, and then they're going to lecture me about like white privilege or something. And I'm like, oh god, now I can't watch this show. And I just
Oh my god, dude! I'm trying to watch Dune Prophecy. It should be called Dune Trifling. It is just women just being trifling. Like nothing really exciting has happened. It's just chicks scheming and conniving. You're just like
tried and tried and tried. I just don't like Dune.
Yeah.
And then the 2 seconds that I did turn it on, it was just like a guy going down on a chick and having. I'm like, what does this have to do with Dune? It's supposed to be Star Wars,
dude.
You know,
I was watching that scene. I watched that episode with my mom.
I'm like,
you know, as a kid, my mom read Dune to us. Like I was drawing sandworms as a kid and drawing thumpers, and I was drawing ornithopters as a little kid.
Yeah.
And so, like, me and my mom have like a kind of a special, we both love Dune, and so, I didn't go see the new Dune movie until she came to visit, and we both, then I went and took her and stuff.
Then you
so
take
it was,
mom, and then you're watching a cunnilingus scene.
Right. So she was like, hey, are you watching the new Dune series? And I'm like, I've watched like the 2, I've watched a couple episodes, and she was like, she was visiting, and I was like, yeah, the new episode's coming on tonight. Do you want to watch? And she's like, well, I haven't seen the other episodes. I'll be like, you'll be fine. Like, just we're fine. Don't worry about it. And yeah, they just went into like just straight up like a fucking sex scene, and it was almost like in real time. You know what I mean? It was like, what is this fucking 20-minute long sex scene? This is fucking crazy. Like they're fucking, then they start talking, then they fuck some more. It was just fucking ridiculous. Yeah. So me and my mom were just like, so what do you think about the drive tomorrow? You're gonna drive around Atlanta or go through? You know what I mean? It was just like fucking
like,
yeah, dude. Dune bitches be tripping.
You're gonna watch trifling. There's the new Star Wars movie, Goku and Mandalorian, with full-on nudity and sex scene. It's inappropriate. It's, if you watch, like the Penguin, I guess you expect violence, but I don't know. Is there nudity in it? I don't want nudity in a Batman-related show.
Is there nudity? I don't recall there being any nudity.
But you know what I mean?
I don't recall ever seeing like hot titty caca. You know what I mean? I don't recall ever seeing anything like that. I mean, there was some straight up violence, like.
But the boys,
like, it's pretty graphic.
Gratuitous nudity and
oh my god, dude! The boys are just like they're just like, oh, like they'll hand the script and they'll be okay. How can we push this and make it more fucking weird?
Even Game of Thrones was starting to get to me after a while. It's like,
I don't like when Game of Thrones is like when they're not at war. It's like when Game of Thrones is like in a time of peace, there's just titties and stuff flapping around everywhere. But as soon as like it's like, because like the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, there was like some titties and fucking, but then once everybody started like fighting and all that shit, then that kind of like died down. I guess people stopped wanting to fuck when there was like zombies and shit coming for them.
Yeah, there was other reasons to hold their attention.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like a prude, but I don't give a fuck. Like I really don't want to see. I really don't want to see second. I'm okay with like, okay, they kiss and then we pan to the window I say that with the breeze.
Nudity, 90% of all nudity is gratuitous, But I'm not a prude. Like I said, if people found out about things I've done in my past, they'd be pearl clutching freaks. But it doesn't fit what I want to do for Heroic Tales, so it's not going to be. And what I did already in issue number 1, I was kind of prepared for the shock. But again, what Katie said today, I think she was fair.
Shock the monkey.
But I'm sorry if she thought she was getting like a G-rated comic to read to her kids at night. I don't think I ever gave that impression. But I apologize if she's upset. But I thought she was fair. For the most part, I agree with her.
I mean, in a way, that's good. That's the reaction you wanted. Like if she just like read it and was like, "Oh, okay," and then like threw it into the box, whatever. But she decided to like be like, "Oh, what the fuck." The story triggered me. I'm, not that she's like really screaming like that, but I mean, it's like for art, like you making art, like that's the reaction you want. You know what I mean? You don't want somebody to just like fucking look at your painting and then keep walking. You want them to look at the painting and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Same thing with the comics. You want them to be like, wow, that fucking, the hooks are in me. It kind of got me by the boo-boo.
She gave it a bad rating because it disturbed her. But I'm like, well, the disturbing story disturbed you,
It's like I went and saw The Exorcist and it gave me nightmares and it scared me.
So it's a bad movie. Well, again,
it was horrible. I went and saw The Exorcist and I was scared. It was horrible. It made me feel like shit.
Yeah. Well, that it's supposed to be, and you're going to be the test because
I went and saw Jaws, and now I don't want to go in the beach.
Oh, you kidding me?
It's a horrible movie.
I'm 56 years old. I still don't want to go in the water, in the ocean. And now I don't want to go in the lakes because I've been watching the lake monsters, but like these grouper fish and stuff like that. I don't.
Oh, river monsters and shit.
Yeah,
dude.
Like, and then I saw a documentary about a shark that went into a river, a lake. Discovered that. I'm like,
bull sharks, right? Bull sharks are the ones that could go into brackish. Yeah, dude. I like pools and I like the Caribbean. Caribbean's nice. I want to be able to like see my goddamn feet. I want to be like go into the water with my snorkels on and be like, oh, there's a barracuda over there. Oh, there's a shark over there. You can kind of see them. It sucked, dude. Growing up in Chesapeake Bay, like Virginia Beach, you just didn't see like what was like once you got into the water, like 2 feet of water, like you couldn't see.
Yeah, everything was green. Yeah, same with New York. I grew up on
exactly. Yeah,
you go on the beach and it's you could see down to your nipples, and then past that it's just hazy green.
Yeah. And then every once in a while you'll feel something brush up against you.
Yeah. I remember once I was swimming and then I stood up and whatever I stood on got pushed down.
Moved.
Oh. In my mind, it was a corpse. I don't know what it was, but when you're 9 years old, it could only be a corpse. And I think I ran like Jesus on top of the water. But that was it. I'm done. Between yours and what I thought would. Oh, and then once I was in a lake in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's a man-made dam. There cannot be any sharks, big old monsters, stuff like that. So I was like, all right. And I go swimming, and I see something brown floating in the water. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to swim out to that log. And I'm swimming, and I look back, and I hear people waving, and I'm...
What is it, alligator?
They're telling me to get out. So I swim. It's a big, dead, floating pig, just all bloated with gas. It's got a big pig face, all swollen.
Fuck. Like, and you're like, hey, what is this thing?
This was in the reservoir by Santa Fe, in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe. I'm like, oh, and I'm swimming back. I'm gagging. I almost drowned. I'm panicking. It's like 2 feet of water, and I'm still trying to swim. I was like, that's it. I'm done with the water.
Yeah, you got like alligator gars. You got all kinds of fucking giant fish.
Yeah. Oh, forget about Florida. I'm never stepping foot in Florida again if I can help it. Swimming in the East River, only Kramer does that.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking gross.
Oh,
there's like a sheen to the water. You know what I mean? There's like this weird iridescent slit to the water.
Know when you let the water out of your radiator illegally and it goes down the street into and you see that rainbow sheen? That's what the East River looks like.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty when the light hits it. and you see all the different colors, the iridescence of the water.
Do you know the Gowanus Canal?
The one in Brooklyn?
Yeah, the most polluted.
Yeah,
in America. Like the police used to say that like they would chase people and they would jump in the Gowanus Canal and they'd be like, okay, we don't have to chase him anymore. Why? Oh, he'll be dead in a couple of weeks. The water is that polluted.
Yeah,
so I was actually thinking of making a monster called Gowanus. Like he rose from the Gowanus Canal. He's like a sloosh monster from all the dead bodies and pollution and everything.
I like that.
You
should make it shocking and have it. It's like, oh, it's a baby. It's like a fetus that was aborted, and then they got thrown in there, and the umbilical cord, the placenta, like attached to the side of the sewer, and it just started feeding the baby.
There you go.
I'm just getting weird.
No, this might be something you have to draw in a comic book.
Maybe without the baby, maybe it could be like a gangster, you know?
Well, maybe it could have been a fetus, but it grew into a monstrous deep one or something.
Yeah. I'm always really interested in like a little fetus being abandoned and it just like growing into a giant monster.
Or it's I already confirmed. I've seen it with my own eyes, like colonies of homeless people that live in the subways. You know, because as
the mole people.
We would go down there and have to fix the tracks and stuff like that, and you pay them. You know, you buy them coffee and donuts or whatever, and they're just happy. You know, every couple of days we'll give you like they factor that into the job, but they don't pee on the gang boxes. You know, whatever. So, but how about like them? They have children that drink from the guanas, and like those that don't die mutate.
Yeah. What's the mutants in the sewers? The Morlocks?
Yeah, the Morlocks.
Yeah, that's what that is.
You do not want to swim in the, forgive me for mispronouncing these, the Allegheny, Monongahela, or Ohio, but boating is perfectly fine. I don't want to swim anywhere. If you were paying attention for the past 20 minutes, I'm done unless it's a bathtub or an indoor pool.
It's a bummer, dude, because
a Swamp Thing character. A villain flies into a like cops chase like a Like
it's a bummer. Like the river that I have here, like I go fishing, but it's like they recommend not eating fish out of it more than once a week.
Oh my God.
Right? And it's like, wait a minute. So I have to limit the amount of fish I eat because of the pollution. I'm like, I'm not fucking eating any of the fish. It's just like catch them and throw them back in, you know?
Yeah. There's old hillbillies.
I'll catch a couple of fucking bass and be like, fuck yeah, look at this fucking bass, and just fucking throw it back in because it's like, it's
a couple of guys
fucking contaminated.
They catch squirrels like upstate, and now they're like, oh, they don't even taste right anymore. I'm like,
squirrels?
Yeah. You know, I used to get freaked out by that, but then I'm like, you're supposed to capture your own food. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
But I would starve to death in a wheat
field.
My
papa, like I remember seeing my papa cleaning fucking squirrels once. And just being fucking totally weirded out because it was like he was just fucking just pulling their skins off like little jackets and shit. You know what I mean? He was just, and they were just like, 1 minute there were these little squirrels, and then the next minute there were these little beheaded, no hand, little red bodies. You know what I mean? You're just
like, I remember when I was apprentice, I was working in this building. It was the original Marvel Comics building, and there was an elevator guy. You know, these guys, they just run the freight elevator up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And there was two of them, and they would take turns. And one guy came in with a little hutch full of rabbits. And he's like, yeah, my kid's rabbit had babies, you know, and I can't take him all the rabbits. And the other guy, they were both, I forget, like El Salvador, both of them, you know. When we weren't around, they would speak Spanish to each other. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'll take the rabbits. I'll take the rabbits. He's like, how many? He goes, I'll take all of them. You give them away, I'll take all of them. He's like, oh, okay. And the guy's like, yeah, and he's talking about, yeah, my son, his first, I don't know, his first rabbit was Charmanzar. Then he had this and he named them all. And as he's talking, the other guy takes the rabbits and just skins them right in front of him, you know, live. And he starts crying. These are my kids' pets. He goes, what did you think I was going to do with them?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we're all watching this like we're horrified, but this is a guy from like a third world country. You know what I mean? You give him rabbits. It's like giving him chicken cutlets, you know?
Yeah.
And the guy who gave the rabbits.
Shit, like, South America, dude, they probably they'll take rabbits, they'll take guinea pigs, you know.
And I was horrified, but at the same time, I'm just like, well, I eat cows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I eat chickens. You know, I just had the luxury of somebody else does all that gross stuff to them.
Yeah, it's a bummer. We went to a farm, like a petting farm, open farm that was here a couple months ago, and they had like a baby calf, like a baby cow, and it was just, you know, licking your hand, and it was just so sweet and stuff, and just really nice, and just like, this motherfucker's gonna get eaten. He tastes so good, Felt kind of bad in the moment, and then.
I had a foreman years ago. He grew up in French Guiana, and he goes like, we were poor peasants in French Guiana. He's like, I didn't have clothes until I was like 4 years old. I was that little naked kid walking around in the forest. He's like, I was gathering fruit and turtles and lizards for food. He goes, and I had a pet chicken. And he goes, they spoke Portuguese, and he's like, I had this pet chicken, and I would feed him every day. I'd find grubs for him, and one day I come home and we're having chicken for dinner, and my pet's gone, and I'm crying. And then my father goes to sit down, and he goes, and I swapped plates with my father, and he goes, what are you doing? He goes, this was my chicken. I get the big portion, and you're like, oh yeah, he goes, if you're going to eat my pet that I fed, I'm at least getting the thigh and the drumstick,
Yeah.
Your father was just like, that's fair. You raised it, but you take it for granted. He goes, what else was I going to do? Like, we were starving. If we didn't find groups, he goes, you know how many times? He goes, maybe twice, 3 times a week we didn't have dinner. So I was like, yeah, we're spoiled here in America. Chickens act like little dinosaurs. Yeah, chickens are vicious. If you ever watch chickens,
chickens are brutal.
Did you ever look at a turkey in the eyes? You ain't winning.
No, I'm not looking at a turkey
you ain't
in the eye.
That staring contest. Oh man, a turkey is the devil. If I ever have this devil show up in my comic, he's gonna have a turkey head or a buffalo head. That's another terrifying thing.
Turkey with his penis hanging off his forehead.
God, balls just flopping around. Balls
just
on
flopping around,
like
dude.
Jackman in that movie.
Yeah, man. My mom has chickens, and she's like, "Yo, they're fucking crazy." Like, there was a mouse in the chicken coop, and they went off on it, like ate it.
Yeah, they are. They're little dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
When they say that birds, dinosaurs are more bird-like, and then when you see those drawings of Tyrannosaurus rexes, like I envision them with feathers and everything. I'm like, yeah, they're just giant dodo birds.
Yeah, that is interesting that they're starting to like add feathers to dinosaurs and shit.
Pets are a luxury in some cultures. Yeah.
I remember when they were like, actually, the T-Rex stood up balanced. He didn't drag his tail. Remember that shit? They were like, actually, the T-Rex did not drag his tail. You're like, oh, he didn't? Okay.
Yeah,
and then now it's like, and he had fucking a mane of feathers down his tail.
Remember Land of the Lost? It walked like a human with a tail.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And now you find out that it walked like an ostrich or a dodo bird.
And and then somebody was even going like he could have been a instead of an active hunter, he was a scavenger. Like he's just going around like a giant ass fucking vulture, just eating dead brontosauruses and shit.
It's funny because I keep thinking like, if we had a time machine, like we'd have it would just, the whole earth would just be filled with dinosaurs and they'd just be battling all the time. In reality, you probably wouldn't see too much stuff, if you went back there.
I'd probably be as crazy as going to fucking Africa. It's like, hey, yeah, you want to do the drive safari? Sure. So you're just kind of driving around Jurassic era. Maybe you'll see a couple of brontosauruses just sitting in the water, snoozing, and then all of a sudden you'll see the fucking velociraptor eat something.
I've been watching YouTube of the scariest places in prehistory, and one of them is, I forget what it's called, but it's called it's basically a shallow sea that went down the United States. It separated like the Rocky Mountains from the Appalachian Mountains. There was an ocean or shallow sea. They said it was the most dangerous place in the history of the world, and there were like computer graphics of all the creatures. Oh my god, it was terrifying.
Like giant man-sized scorpions and shit.
Yeah, man-sized aquatic scorpions and
dude,
ichthyosaurs, and oh my god, I was like, thank God we lived.
This shit was terrifying, dude. Yeah, you're just like giant spiders with like
sea spiders.
50. Well, dude, at one point they were like the proto spider. It was like this like 50-pound fucking land spider that didn't even really have webbing yet, but it was it had the look of a spider. It's wild, dude. Giant ass fucking centipedes, bigger than 2 people. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, There's this one creature. It looked like Cthulhu. It head with tentacles, everything like that.
Yeah.
And that was scary enough. And then they found out that was just a head. So have Cthulhu with a shark body just roaming the sea with like wings for webs, or fins rather. I'm like, dude, I never want to go back in time. The farthest back in time I'm going is the 50s.
Yeah,
I'm not going any further. 1949, no. 1950 is my hard limit on my time travel.
And then, you think about, there was one period in human history where we were here, Neanderthals were here, and those Homo florentia was here, and the Denogians, Devogians, what are they called? Denogians, and the other species that they found that was like even larger, like bigger ass fucking people. So at one point there's like 4 different races of people walking around. It was like fucking Middle Earth, dude. There was like Neanderthal dwarves, there was normal men, then you had these other taller red-haired men, and then you had hobbits.
Yeah.
We're kind of boring now, dude. It's just us here. It's kind of boring.
Yeah, we that's where I think when we hear like the Nephilim and giants, stuff like that, I think that's what we're talking about. Like there was probably species that were bigger than us, or think about it. The average person probably in biblical times was 5'6", and then they encountered like these Gauls that were like 6'3". You know what I mean? Because they ate more. They say that the average Japanese kid is 6 inches taller than his parents because of the more proteins in his diet. So could you just imagine a 6-inch difference in like a tribe? That's Nephilim and stuff like that, I think, came from.
And that's one of the when some of the other Europeans started running into the Vikings and the Northmen, they were just like, "What the fuck?" These huge ass dudes.
This would be an interesting story. I forget if it's issue 4 or issue 5 of Heroic Tales. It's a time travel story called "Let's Save the Dinosaurs."
Oh shit!
Yeah, Renzo wants to draw dinosaurs.
There was a book. Do you remember the book series that came out from Dark Horse, and it was all dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Denisovians. Those are the ones. Denisovians.
Yeah.
That's the other race of like the bigger people. Like they found like finger bones or something. They found finger bones in a cave and realized that it was a different species of human, and they got like jewelry and other shit in this cave. So it's one of those things where it like pushes back the clock on when humans were doing shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, nobody was doing anything cool 10,000 years ago, and then you see these Denisovians, you're going, oh shit, they were actually like drilling into stone and like making jewelry and like doing all kinds of like.
We all
shit
agree that humans
weren't supposed to be doing, so that that like timeline is getting pushed back.
Right. We all agree that humans are at least 2 million years old, but what they're doing is now they're arguing whether they're 4 million. So you're going to tell me most of human history is lost to us. So, I'm not being original and I'm not giving away any spoilers, but there's going to be stories in Heroic Tales if I make it farther about what's going on in those lost.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a ripe thing for superhero comics. I'm fascinated with that stuff.
Dude, yeah. I mean, what would be cool? Like you have Hydra. Would be cool if you had somebody who's like, I am returning the majestic power to the Tartar Empire. You're like, what? You're like, what? You're like, we ruled half the planet and we were wiped from the books. We shall be turned. You know what I mean? Like, could be all kinds of cool like aspects like that.
Oh, this is an interesting take on the Nephilim. The Nephilim were the nobles of ancient Mesopotamia, and they dallied with the female peasantry. It's an allegory. Oh, that's interesting. I got to look that up. Because all the Nephilim were the descendants of angels, and they were giants. I always just thought, like, could you imagine, like, you're the you're right.
I always thought about that's what. Remember Hancock? Do you see the movie Hancock?
Yeah. That was
they were Nephilim, right?
Yeah, that he was Gilgamesh or Enkidu, and that was what the sequel was. Because if you remember, he was carving in his jail cell. He was writing in Sumerian on the wall, So he
Ah,
got beaten so bad he didn't remember. But he's either Gilgamesh or he's Enkidu, and the girl is the woman that they prayed for to calm down Gilgamesh or Enkidu. So it's let's pretend Gilgamesh or Enkidu survived into the modern age, and then they were going to
it's
make a
very
sequel,
cool.
and it was going to be the other one. So either Gilgamesh or Enkidu shows up, and then all three of them were going to have like a battle for the woman. But I don't know. I would have liked to
Oh
see the
shit.
sequel.
I like Peter Berg. He makes some okay movies. Like he definitely tries.
What other movies did he make?
He made for a little while he was doing some funky shit. Like he was doing Battleship.
Okay.
Like he did Battleship, but then he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do any more of this like weird sci-fi genre shit. So he did like Lone Survivor, Benghazi, that 13 hours. Like he's like
Oh.
switched to like military stuff.
Nephilim literally means the fallen in Hebrew. They felt okay. Again, this. I'm not
Mhm.
arguing with anybody. I you know, I just right now it seems Nephilim is like a cool topic in comic books and everything.
Yeah.
So even if everybody does it this way, I have to make it my own and change it. Just for the sake of like, this is mine. I don't want to just do what you guys did for a comic book. I got to do something different. And if I can't, then
Yeah.
I'll just ignore it.
Do you remember Man of Steel? In Man of Steel, there was like because they never really touched on it, and I was like, oh, that'd be dope. But Superman goes into the crashed Kryptonian ship, and there's life pods, but one of the life pods is open and empty,
Right.
and the other pods are closed. And so it's just like, oh shit. So who was that person, that
I had the
came out
feeling
of the thing, and is like, did that person then like start having intercourse with humans, and is that like where superheroes come from?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that like
that's what I
this
thought
like
they were leading, or at least
Kryptonian bloodline is this like every once in a while like your
or that
Kryptonian genes will trigger it.
he's like historical Hercules and fathered the Amazonians and stuff like that.
Yeah, whereas like, oh, they're gonna connect the superheroes to Kryptonian DNA, but not so
Aaron
much.
Berg says it's all Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
At
on the ocean.
Tanagra, his eyes red,
Is that everybody's
his
favorite
arms
episode of
open,
Star Trek?
arms wide, dude. I fucking love
With
that
arms wide.
fucking episode. Arms wide, his sails unfurled.
You know which episode
Oh
of Next Generation? For some reason, it gives me the creeps, and it's a terrible episode. But they find a signal on a gas giant, and they beam down. There's an area of stability, and it's a casino. It's like a 20th century casino with like
Weird.
the cast of like Knots Landing or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out it's just like a dying space. He was reading the book, so the aliens translated the book and thought that that's what it was like. But for some reason, that episode, I don't know what, something about that episode just scares me. That there's this life pod just floating in the atmosphere of a gas giant, and there's like a holodeck created by space aliens. They thought they were being merciful, but they misinterpret. I don't know. It's supposed to be a silly episode, but that episode, like, I just am unsettled by the whole episode.
Dude, my favorite episode, I think, if we're gonna get Star Trek-y, is the it's very weird because it's like not that exciting. Not a lot of shit happens, but it's like, I'm like, oh shit, that's deep as fuck. It's where Picard like gets zapped to the alien planet.
Yeah, the inner
and
light.
Like, yeah, and they're like, hey, you're not fucking Picard. Quit acting like a retard, And he's like, he just he ends up like
I
adjusting
tell
to it and getting
episode.
married and having kids and shit, and then suddenly like it's all gone, and you're like, fuck, dude, that's a lot of emotional.
That's my favorite Star Trek
shit.
episode. And then people go like, oh, that's everybody's favorite Star Trek. I'm like, dude, it's still my favorite.
Sorry. Yeah, to the point, him sitting there playing the flute at the end of the fucking episode alone, because it's like
he learned that skill.
He met a woman. He loved her. He had kids. So at some point, he's holding a fucking baby that is like, oh my god, it's so much happens.
That is a brilliant episode. That is a great episode. To the point I ripped it off in one of my V&D episodes. They were fighting, the superheroes were fighting a bad guy in Iceland. and
Mm.
through the bad guy's heat powers, he was melting everything, and they found a spear in the ice. So one of the player characters grabbed that spear, and that spear enlightened him, and he learned about this tribe that existed in prehistory. And with the next two sessions, they played other characters. Because I ripped off Inner Light, but I can't do that in Heroic Tales because if people can say you ripped off Inner Light, and I'm like, yeah, I did. I absolutely. I could do it in my living room, but I can't.
Remember, I've seen him do it with like other characters. Like like with Spider-Man with House of M. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
where it was like it's like he has they're like, okay, we're gonna give everybody the lives they want. So he's like with Gwen Stacy, and they have a kid, and it's like, holy shit, like. And then it's taken off from him, and he's just sitting there with all these like memories of having a family and like his child, and it's just like,
yeah,
he fucking smashes the Avengers table, like Peter, like kind of vents with his strength, and you're like, oh fuck, like,
yeah,
just, like poor Peter, you know what I mean? That was another moment. I was like, man, this fucking poor guy is just
poor Peter. He
can't fucking catch a break, dude. Nah.
My second favorite episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
No good deed gone unpunished, or whatever the fuck
is. There are 4 lights. There are 4.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I say that anytime somebody tells me that trans women are women, I go, there are 4 lights.
Yeah, dude. He's like, you'll always be that scared little boy to me. That was you just fucking broke him.
And what gets me is Picard says, I was about to say that there was 5 lights. Like even Picard can be broken, but he'll never know. That's torture. Old Dirty Fatty.
We
says,
still talk about that, like 4 lights. Like
Old Dirty Fatty says, by the way, can you have Matt on as a regular? You two are fucking freestyling, and it's awesome. I love Matt as a guest.
Yeah, man, you're always welcome on my show. Yeah.
I
it's just straight comic book
nerds,
comic room talk, dude.
Yeah, comic book nerd stuff. So I read today that that Henry Cavill is going to be the executive producer on I don't know if it's a movie or a TV series about Warhammer. And
it's going to be a TV series on Amazon.
Oh, good. Because I trust Henry Cavill.
How dude fucking play. You know what I mean? The guy is a serious Warhammer.
He just posted today that he went to the very first place he ever bought Warhammer stuff. What was it called? The Inner Room or something like that. And on the island of Jersey, and he went back there and he hosted a Warhammer event. So
holy shit.
I like to read the Warhammer lore. I have a couple of Warhammer board games, but I haven't played as I spit out pretzels out of my mouth. I haven't played the actual like miniatures game because I'm such anal retentive.
My brother was into that game. Yeah, my brother was into that game, but I never played, but I was into the source books.
Yeah.
Like the source books always had these really cool fucking illustrations and shit. And so I like knew all about, the Horde and the gene splicers and the genes. I knew this stuff, but only from like reading it. And I never played it. But then recently, Space Marines 2 came out, the game. I was playing the shit out of that, dude. That's fucking dope. Yeah. They just took the board game and just let you play it in the fucking that Space Marines 2 is fucking dope as shit. So like, give me a fucking movie of that, give me a TV show, sure. But if anybody else was in charge, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. But Henry, he's a big fan of it,
Right there, I got Space Hulk. It's Space Marines versus Gene Stealers in a dead spaceship.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's still in shrink. I haven't broke it out yet. I mean, I got the comics. I got a couple of novels, but I'm just too scared to pop my cherry and play Warhammer because I don't need another $10,000 hobby.
Yeah, I just was looking for a new IP. I was like, man, need something new that doesn't suck, and Warhammer doesn't suck.
Yeah, you know what? I still play a 40-year-old role-playing game. I still got my old D&D books. I'm reading. I'm like an old.
Well, that's all theater of the mind stuff. That's
I love
That's
like
all up to you. You know what I
I'm
mean?
still talking about this era of the Avengers right over here. You know what I mean? Like, so
Mhm.
you could destroy my hobbies, but like I still have my physical copies here in my house. And you guys, all 53 people watching, you're welcome. My wife hates when I say this because she thinks you're all gonna show up, but you're all welcome to come over here and play some board games with me. You know, read
All
some
are
comics.
welcome. Yeah.
Picard didn't have a cage of rats attached to his face, about to eat it off like Winston in 1984. Yeah, he was about to break anyway, even without the rats.
Yeah, he was.
My only problem with that episode is by the end of the episode, he's captain again. Like he should be, going to that sex planet for like a year to recover after that. You don't just, okay, we rescued you. Here's a shot in your arm. Go back to being a captain. But I'll give it a break.
Or maybe they like put him under and they let him go through like a quick rehab in the holodeck.
Now, what do you think was the worst job on the Enterprise?
Is this going to be some sort of like holodeck mopper?
Yeah, there it is. That's the absolute worst job of the.
I feel like there's
Matt,
there's
me and you-
something going on. Lasers are zapping the shit sterile.
Matt, me and you got the, we don't even have bars on our arm yet and stuff like that. It's like, dude, we got to go clean the holodeck. Riker was in there. It's like, no, you got to go. I did it last time. It was horrible. No, man, come on. You go.
Yeah,
no, I don't want. No, please, come on. I did it last time. Damn it, you owe me.
I'd be like, how does Riker do it? Like, he's just nutting all over the place, man. Like the guy, how does he stay hydrated?
Again, I'm not a fan of Riker. Kirk always gets the bad reputation, but Kirk never slept with his subordinates. Riker's hitting on everybody who walks into 10 forward, whether they're an ensign or a diplomat or he has authority over them or not. And Bashir, the doctor on Deep Space, he was hitting on his patients while he was treating them.
Ew.
Yeah. It's self-cleaning. We learned that in the Space Irishman, right? The horny Space Irish girl. We found out that the ship cleans itself.
Yeah. Is that where they brought like the Irish clan on and they're like making fucking liquor and shit in the corner of the holodeck?
Yeah.
And at the end of that episode, they get the Irish people and they drop them off on a planet of like clones, right? And the clones are like running out of like genetic materials, so it's like, all right, you guys are gonna need to like hook up and fuck a lot.
Yeah,
like everybody, and like they were setting it up where it was like, oh yeah, every woman needs to have like 5 husbands, and every
the hot Irish girl is like, and then she grabs some Riker on the way out.
Yeah, they almost seem like fucking Prime Directive. Like, don't talk to them. You know what I mean? Like, these people are just like dealing with goats and shit. Like, let's not talk to them.
The sex planet was Riser. It usually gets a rise out of it. Yeah. Remember the girl that Vosh, that Picard? I found her to be so sexy. Vosh. I liked her. Yeah, she was the con artist girl that conned Riker, Picard rather, and then she ran off with Q.
Oh, okay.
I liked her. Something sexy about her. Yeah, somebody said something about the psychology. Yeah, was it right? He was involved with Deanna Troi, but Deanna Troi was like passed around through Starfleet.
Oh, dude, she was a fucking she was a fleet whore, dude, for sure.
Yeah, she was involved with.
I mean, all it took was like Worf was like, I had a dream that we were fucking and we were married. You want to have dinner? And she's like, yeah, sure, sounds good. Like, what? So this whole time she's just like waiting for Worf to fucking drop that fucking.
And I love her. She sits next to Picard on the deck, and then like the Klingon commander shoots a photon torpedo, and she's like, "I sense hostility, Captain." And they're like, "No shit, Donna." You know.
Like, you know what? Another good episode
I detect was obvious, Captain.
Yeah. the one where Riker takes over the Klingon ship was pretty.
That was a great one. Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, what's going on? The Klingon captain just like slaps the shit out of him. It's like, yeah, it's just part of fucking,
The female Klingon hits on him and he goes, just you or both of you? And they're like, oh!
Yeah. He's like, bitch, I'm serious.
and
He's
then
like,
the
I've been
food.
hydrating. I'm all fueled up. I've been
I,
drinking
I'm
Klingon
I
Gatorade.
don't
I'm
back
ready for
down
you,
from a
bitch.
fight. Don't tell my wife, but I got into 2 fights on the railroad in the past 3 weeks. Freaking old man with a broken neck. I'm still fist fighting on the train. But I tell
You
you, I
got into
would
a fist fight on the train?
twice in the past 3 weeks. But I would have stopped at that food. I can't deal with crazy food. Hey, Steve
Yeah,
McDonald.
they always try to be weird with the Klingon shit, like bloodworm, bakta, and it's just like just some shit wiggling. You're like, come on, man, you can't
So
boil that
the
shit.
eternal question is always Ginger or Marianne, and then it's Jeannie or Bewitched. But I always like Dr. Crusher over Deanna Troy.
Oh, for sure, dude. Dr. Crusher, absolutely, dog. And she was a dancer, so she had a fit physique. She
Yeah,
was fit. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't start the fight. The commuter train is packed, and some guys bringing a bicycle down the aisle the way, hitting everybody in the head. And I'm like, dude, keep the bicycle where the door's open. So he calls me a name, and I got up and I was like, say that again. And he was like, I said, I knew you were a pussy. And then next thing you know, I was like, you
The
got the first
fisticuffing.
punch. And I'm like, I said, I'm 56 years old. I have a broken neck, and you still have the first punch. And then things led to other things.
One thing lead to another.
I didn't read Red Coat yet. I'm missing issue number 3. So I read 1 and 2. I got to get issue 4, and then I'll read the rest. Crusher is older. Yeah, but she's still younger than me. That's the beauty.
I mean, they're all old. You know what I mean? Like
They're all
Diana,
old
like
now.
they all look like they were in their 40s. You know what I mean? By the
And
time,
even that
maybe
last episode when they put the older makeup on her, I thought she was good. I liked her.
who was the other, Ginger or Marianne? Definitely
Marianne.
Ginger.
Marianne.
Yeah,
Okay, we're not going to fight on the island then. You have Ginger and be happy. I'll take Marianne and be happy.
Yeah,
Marianne.
Ginger.
And my proof is the episode where Marianne thinks she's Ginger. Marianne looks great in Ginger's dresses, and Ginger looks frumpy in Marianne's outfits. And I like Bewitched better than Jeannie. Something tells me we'll still.
Oh, Bewitched, yeah, for sure. Because Bewitched, absolutely, she's smoking. Samantha was smoking hot. The Jeannie, man, she's like a fucking retard. She's like it was like talking to a kid or something. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, master, what is this, master? What are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't be able to deal with that. I would not be able to be like, so I have to like raise you and then
Samantha was sultry, and whereas Jeannie I thought was obvious. Like Jeannie's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but she's obviously beautiful. I always like a smoltry, smoldering.
Mm-hmm.
The Klingons would just sing Octon and Mailota at the top of their lungs. Okay, three's couple. What's that? What's that mean? Take Samantha.
Three's a couple. Come and knock on my door.
Ghost Machine is my jam. They got discounts on merch. I got to say, Ghost Machine is probably the only new comic that I'm excited about. I'm trying to get Jeff Johns on my channel. If anybody has an in with him, I would love to talk to Jeff Johns about Ghost Machine and Justice Society. I'm a big fan.
Hey, you know who has his number? Ethan. You should ask Ethan for his number.
Yeah. There you go. I'm sure they talk to each other all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I sent message to him on Facebook, Instagram. Let's see if he responds.
I'm gonna get Dan Panosian on my channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell him I'm a big fan of his since he did his modules for Villains and Vigilantes.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of his.
I'm a huge fan.
A few times on Twitter, and he was like, "Oh, thanks,"
Yeah, I've like been talking to him for a couple years.
Oh, cool.
And finally was like, "Hey, man, come on my channel and let me talk to you. Let me just fucking talk art and comics." Yeah, I've met him a couple of times, like at cons and stuff. So it's like, "Hey, Matt, what's up?" It's like, "What's up, man?" I like him. He's like one of the artists. I'm just like, wow, because he started off as just like an inker, like a whatever inker, to just being like one of like the top fucking illustrators right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's one of the few that gets better and better and better.
Yeah. He doesn't yeah, his stuff doesn't like his stuff isn't getting lazy. It's just getting tighter and better.
And as good as his art is, I think his coloring is even better.
When he does he's a good he colors his own shit. It's dope as fuck.
I know some artists and writers have agents, but I don't know how that works. It's funny because your boy Zach always used to go off on that Magdalene Visaggio has an agent, you know, whereas Chris Claremont doesn't, you know, so go figure.
Yeah.
All I know is,
well, I guess it depends if you're, I don't know. I mean, if you're like really, really good at it, you don't really need an agent. People are just coming to you, but like an agent is like looking work for you. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works.
I know I tried to talk to Bob Layton about coming on my channel, and then his handler like interrupted the conversation, was like, "What's in it for me?" I'm like, "I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to deal with you. I want to talk to Bob Layton." And that was the end of that. But what's in it for you?
Oh shit.
Who are you? Agents negotiate rates. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I have somebody. No,
I'm sorry,
no,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nah, I'm just talking pseudo agents and stuff. I have somebody at in one of the networks, and like he's not an agent for me, but like he like throws my name out. You know what I mean?
Man,
it's nice.
Yeah, Dan Panosian. I went and met Vaughn at a Comic-Con. I didn't go to Comic-Con, but I went after. I met Aaron Sparrow. I met Chris Hicks, and they were like, "Dan Panosian's here," so we went there, and we must have just missed him. You know, I met Mark Brooks. I had a conversation with Mark Brooks.
All right.
Yeah, he was civil. He was polite. He started talking about Trump, and I was just like, I'm not going to back down, but I wasn't going to bring him up. I'm like, I voted for Trump, you know. And he like looked at me. I said, "We've been talking for 25 minutes. Am I a bad?" And he was just like, I was like, I said, "You need to calm down with this anti-Trump, and you know, people are people. People have reasons." And he was like, "Okay, that's cool." And then he unblocked me on Twitter. So.
And then he blocked you or unblocked you?
No, he unblocked me because I think I got caught up in a block bot or something.
Yeah, man, I'm good at. I'm ready to get back to work.
Phenomenova. And then me and Vaughn went to a restaurant, and that skinny little twerp ate me under the table. Holy crap, could that guy eat? Matt, are you one of those skinny guys that could eat like 6 times the amount of human food is necessary?
Yeah, dude, take me to a fucking buffet. I'll show you.
And how old are you, Matt?
48, I think.
48, and you could still eat like a bat. Oh, I envy your metabolism.
It's all about. It's all. I mean, it becomes competition. You know what I mean? I go to a seafood buffet with my brothers, and it's just like I'm on my 5th plate.
What year was this?
I'm on my 6th plate.
This was like 2 months ago. 2 months ago, whatever Comic-Con was, September, October. It's funny because when I was in college, unbeknownst to me, I was volunteered into a White Castle eating contest. You know, and I was like, all right, that's cool, free White Castles. And I just took my time, and they were like yelling at me. I was like, I said I could eat a lot of them. I didn't say I could eat them fast.
Yeah, they just want you to sit there and start packing them in your hole.
Yeah, some skinny little Chinese guy just what he did was he took them all and he squished them, and then he poured water on top of them and just like turned them into a slurry. It like ate them like a spider.
Oh.
I was just like,
ew.
Oh, I like White Castle.
Yeah, just like enjoy, like, oh, White Castle tastes good. I like the way these onions. Yeah, he's just strictly like put product in mouth.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna get sick for like the $10 gift certificate or something.
Jesus.
You must have had White Castle. You lived.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude! I lived in Queens. There was a White Castle up the street.
Oh, which one?
On Queens Boulevard.
Queens Boulevard. It's like it. There's like a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a White Castle, like all next to each other.
Yeah. There's like a Wendy's. There's like a Wendy's and a Burger King, and then a White Castle.
Daisies.
I believe so. You know what I'm talking about, like 45th Street.
That is the best White Castle in the world. I'm a slob. I love my White Castle, but
yeah,
when I was driving home from the George Washington Bridge, I would pass that one, and like once a week I would stop, and I don't know what it is because there's a White Castle by me now out here in Suffolk, and it's just not as good. And I tell them, I said, "What do you do differently?" And the lady at the counter is like, "I don't know." I'm like, This is the best White Castle by far. There's, that. So you live by the
That's
good
funny.
one. So
yeah, dude, I was walking distance to that one. But at the time, I did not appreciate it. At the time, I was like, spicy chicken sandwiches from Wendy's are the shit.
Yeah, Vaughn Coleman's grandmother died. I think unexpectedly,
Bummer.
So, yeah, I was going to go to Big Apple Con, but I was just obsessed with finishing fulfillment of my comic. I should have went, but if I know me, if I had broken out of the habit routine, it would have taken me twice as long to get back into it. I kind of miss fulfilling comics. It was kind of fun. We had a White Tower in what is that, Pittsburgh instead of a White Castle, but I ate a White Castle Columbus a few times. What about Crystals? I've never been to Crystals. That's like the southern version of White Castle.
Yeah, we got a Crystal Burgers here.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. It's the same deal. I know my daughter, when I pick her up from school, she's like, "We should stop by Crystal. That's a good idea, right?" I'm like, no, we're going home. I'm not gonna. I think because I stopped one time, I was like, "Let's just get some Crystal." I'm feeling dangerous. Let's get some Crystal. Let's get a Crystal burger. They're like, "What?" And the Crystal burgers are like the smaller burger. They're like the White Castle slider.
Oh yeah, the small like White Castle or smaller than White Castle? I can't find.
No, they're small like them. They're like the same kind of like.
It's funny because when I moved to Albuquerque,
Bago burgers,
When I moved to Albuquerque, I went to the Limbrook White Castle, and I said goodbye because I used to go there all the time. Back in '92, what was I? 23 years old or something. I was drinking all the time, and it was I would just like you're in the bar, you're drinking, you're hitting on a girl, you take a beer, and all of a sudden you put the beer down, and you're in White Castle. You don't even know how you got there. You're like, oh, I guess I'm eating White Castle now. That was like my night all the time. And there was this one woman there. This is mean, but I called her behind her back the melting lady because she just looked like she was melting. She looked like a brown candle that was melting. But she was sweet. And she was nice. And one day I'm in there and this group of kids just yelling at her. And I saw her go like this. And I was drunk and belligerent. And I jumped up and I grabbed one of the kids by the back of the neck. I go, "Is your mother here?" And the other ones look at me and I'm like in his face holding his neck. "Is your mother here?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Well, she is. She's cooking for you, and your mother's home sleeping. Be nice to her." And I looked at the other. They were all like, "Oh, okay." And she came out and gave me a book. It was like a White Castle book, like to buy merchandise and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I still have that book. It's in a box right over there. She was like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Well, I'm drunk right now, so of course I'm going to yell at people. I'm 23 and drunk. What else am I going to do?"
23 and drunk.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm gonna boogie.
Yeah, me too. I got to go to bed. 9:30. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning for work, and it's like gonna be like a tornado here tomorrow.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get some pages done. I gotta get some lines put to paper.
Yeah, I gotta go. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks for popping in for this.
Hail to the chat.
Yep. I talked about. Believe it or not, yes, I still get new comics. Not as much as I used to, but that's cool because I spend too much money on older comics. Yeah, I got more back issues showing up. I'll make another video tomorrow at 7:00. Travis, I forget his full name, but he has a comic that he's crowdfunding, and then at 8:30 tomorrow I have a comic book team up with RJ and Paul Thayer, who does Project Analysis. And I think Thursday is open, but I might fill that in with something. Friday, comic book team up, crowdfunding 101. And then I'm on MSK's channel. And then Sunday is Sunday Comics. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's my week. You got anything you want to push, Matt, before you go?
No, I don't. I'm good.
Okay. See you guys. Thanks a lot, everybody. Not bad. Even with the professionals, we still got like 60 people watching. So thank you. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, I just waved and forgot my camera was off. Holy shit.
I'm just
good night, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.